Let's now turn to our next guest. So she's a vet who served her country for 8 years. She's a fighter. She's a titan. Here is her story.
My name is Michelle Lewis. I'm 32 years old and I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I do real estate for a living, and one aspect I absolutely love about my job is getting people back on their feet, reinventing themselves, starting anew in a new city, because I know what it's like to want a new beginning. I joined the military when I was 17 years old. We deployed to Kuwait, Iraq, so I went from being in high school, still living with mom and dad, to like I'm fully suited on a security team doing missions. We're jumping, we're rucking, 6 a.m., you're up, we're fighting, we're training. And you gotta think, I joined the military when I was a little girl. It was intense. The military just brought a different animal out of me. I come from a military family. We call ourselves the Lewis Lions. We stand for strength, resilience, and the courage not to give up. And that's like who I became in the military. I did 8 years, and then when I got out, that transition was very difficult. It was a culture shock going from such a high level of performance. I was a staff sergeant in the Army, like I was a big dog, and I missed that tenacity, that grit. When I found fitness and powerlifting, being able to compete, being at that level with other athletes that want to be the best, it gave me my power back.
Wow. Michelle joins us now. Michelle, thank you so much for your service. First of all, 8 years, a staff sergeant in Iraq. I mean, just thank you so much for everything that you've done for this country. I know you're coming to us live from your hometown of Atlanta tonight. That city has been hit really hard by the coronavirus. Georgia just reported its second highest number of new cases, half of them coming from Atlanta. It's been really tough in your neck of the woods in particular. We just heard you talking about power. You say you lost some of your power due to the pandemic. Tell us about that.
Yes, definitely. Thank you first and foremost for having me. So the pandemic definitely, I took such a big financial hit, as I'm sure many Americans did. My real estate slowed down. I actually took the Instacart, though, to try to bring in some of that revenue that I missed out on. With COVID and the pandemic, properties were no longer touring. I literally stopped closing all deals. So I had to definitely get back out there. The military definitely gave me that grit to be able to deliver groceries. That's what Instacart is. And I'm refocusing now, regrouping, and trying to get everything back together since the pandemic and everything.
Well, we got to thank you for your service, Michelle. And I got to tell you, I'm listening to your story. You are a fighter. You are a warrior. And you know sacrifice. And that landed you on NBC's hit show, The Titan Games. Tell us about that.
Oh, wow. That was such an amazing way to kick off 2020. I got a DM from one of the producers of The Titan show telling me that I should try out, and I took a leap of faith, and I was there about 3 months later competing at the Combine with 60 amazing athletes to actually get a slot on the show. And let me tell you, it was such a humbling, amazing, invigorating experience.
You're a star. All right, let's head to Dallas. We'll introduce you to another champion. She has 3 Olympic medals and is a member of the CNBC Financial Advisor Council. Let's welcome in LAURYN Williams, founder and CEO of Worth Winning. LAURYN, you've been working with Michelle on her finances. What's the winning plan here?
Michelle, it's so good to be able to talk to you. I, too, come from a military family where I have a niece, a nephew, and a sister that are currently serving, so I'm truly honored to be able to give some tips and advice to a fellow service member. So we do have some tips and advice for you, and the first one was to increase your savings. So that emergency fund that you had saved you during this pandemic. But as an entrepreneur, it's important to increase your saving as much as possible because we have fluctuating income. So I wanted you to get your emergency savings up to around $15,000, and that's a six-month emergency fund. So when you have fluctuating income, you have that to fall back on, not just in your personal finances, but also in your business finances. It creates a lot more stability. That number can be a little bit overwhelming for people. So what do? You can either increase your saving or you can decrease your spending. So what you decided to do was start doing Instacart and increase your income, and it was a great idea. One other idea I have for you as it pertains to increasing income at a time like this is Airbnb experiences. So you can use your training expertise, you can use your motivational aspects to be able to share right virtually from your own home and be able to earn income to build that emergency fund or just to close the income gap during that time.
Lauren,
another thing that was really important that
Lauren,
one of the other things that we talked about was building your business account. So separating income. Imagine you're a coffee shop owner. If you have a coffee shop, you want your cashier every night to have the right amount in their register. You can't just go in because you're the owner and stick your hand in. So my recommendation for you is to get a business account, because a business account is going to separate your income out, and then you can pay yourself a fixed amount every single month, and then that can be with your expenses. So in real estate, like you said, income fluctuates quite a bit. When you get a big commission check in, that doesn't change the plan and that doesn't change your monthly expenses. What you want to do is continue to pay yourself a set amount every single month so that you can continue to build and save as planned. The other thing I wanted you to do was to get a business savings account. The reason is you got to put some money aside for taxes. So taxes is something that throws entrepreneurs off quite a bit. And if you have money come in and you go ahead and set that money aside for taxes right out the gate, instead of letting it flow into a different account, you know you're going to be good to go and you're not going to owe Uncle Sam when it's time to pay him.
This is gold medal advice.
The third thing that I think is really important, Michelle.
Gold medal advice. Go ahead. I want to hear if Michelle thinks this is all achievable. Lauren, go ahead. What's your last piece of advice?
The third thing I'd like you to do, Michelle, is look at investing. So we talked about you having a Roth IRA, and a Roth IRA is a really cool thing to be able to take advantage of. So as an entrepreneur, there's lots of options. There's a SEP IRA, there's a solo 401k, there's a traditional IRA, and you can get overwhelmed and just say, you know, never mind, I'll look at all this later. But if you don't want to wait and look at it later, you want to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and look at this now, and I'm going to take advantage of what I have. So keep it simple when it comes to investing and look at the Roth IRA that you already have. So my recommendation is to start putting money in there so that you have money to be able to set aside for your future in addition to what we're trying to work on right now in the present.
Thank you so much. Lauren, I got to tell you, I screwed up on that. I used a personal checking account when I started my first business. I should never have done that. It got me in so much trouble. I wish I had had you when I first started my company. So thank you so much. And Michelle, I got some advice for you. Although you really don't need it, I want you to stay strong.